video is filled with tons of DIY, tons of inspiration. I can't wait to show you. Let's get to it. Right, for this DIY, we are going to take this piece of wood that I get at the hardware store. If you follow me for a while now, you know that I love going to the hardware store and getting pieces of wood in the scrap wood area. This is the area where customers go, get a piece of wood cut to whatever size they want, and then whatever is left over, they don't feel like taking it, so they leave it there and I get them for 25 cents. Now this piece here was the way that it was not cut, it was already this size. So I am going to pretty much give it one coat, a pretty heavy one coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and then let it dry. While that's drying, I am going to take this Hello Fall wooden words, and I am going to, these are from Hobby Lobby. I am going to remove the jute twine and fill in the little holes with some wood filler, scrape it off so that it is smooth, and then we're going to start to paint it. Originally, I thought I would do the entire thing one color, and then I thought, you know what? Let's add some multiple colors here. I started with this nice, beautiful blue from Artisa. However, it's a little bit too translucent for my vision. My vision was to have a little bit more of a cottage blue. So anyways, nonetheless, I'm just going to show you the process because it is a beautiful blue. It almost stained the wood instead of painting the blue, which is beautiful, but I think it had more of a summer tone to it. So I did take some of this blue. This is Coastal Blue by Rust-Oleum chalk paint, and this did the trick. As a matter of fact, I think it worked out perfect having both colors because that lighter blue kind of came through and it turned out really cute. Then the bottom one, I am going to use another Artisa color. This is one of they're like more like a fall color, it's an amber color, and I'm just going to paint the fall with that color and then let it fully dry. Now I am going to take this fabric that I recently got at Hobby Lobby. They have some beautiful selections, and this was 40% off, and I got a yard, and I'm going to cut a piece. I don't know, it was about 10 inches. It was just long enough to cover one side, and then I cut it about 10 inches wide, give or take. I am now going to spread it on the left side of the board, covering one side, and I am going to hot glue it as well as staple it. I'm going to take a quick second here and ask that if you are enjoying this video so far, to give me a thumbs up. A thumbs up on my videos really help my video reach more people, and it helps my channel grow. So I would really appreciate it if you did. Once I had that in place, it's time to take some of this ticking stripe fabric. I also got a Hobby Lobby, but it was more in the summertime. I'm going to cut a piece here. This one is about 4 inches, and again, just long enough to go around the back. I'm going to staple it in place right in the center of the yellow fabric. I am then going to take the Hello Fall, and I am going to place it to the right side of the fabric and brad nail it in place with 1/2-inch brad nails. That way it'll stay in place and we're done. I love this sign, guys. I can't believe I actually love these colors for fall this year. I don't know why. I've just been into these like yellow tones and blues, and I just really love the way this one turned out. Beautiful. All right, so don't laugh here, okay? But this is one of these funeral homes, little vases. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen them. My mom found 2 of them in the trash on the side of the road. She literally grabbed them and brought them to me. So yes, I disinfected them with some disinfecting wipes and got them really, really clean. And now I'm just going to start painting it using that same Coastal Blue by Rust-Oleum chalk paint. The first coat was kind of sloppy because it is a very slick surface. So I did do one coat, and then the second coat, I'm not going to show you, but the second coat I actually dabbed it instead of brushing it. So instead of like swiping brush, I just dabbed it and it worked out better. So this is after 2 coats here, and now I'm going to distress this so that some of those white details start popping, because this vase has a lot of texture, and by wiping it with a wet cloth, I'm using the wet distressing technique here, I'm just going to start removing some of the paint, and that way some of those details will pop nicely. I am now going to take some of this floral foam from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to hot glue it all the way inside to the bottom and just fill in all the corners, because we're going to make a beautiful fall arrangement, and I want to make sure that I have floral foam in every side. I'm going to use a combination of different florals. This is going to be florals from Dollar Tree, florals from Hobby Lobby, and florals from Walmart. It's just whatever I had on hand, for the exception of the Hobby Lobby florals that I'll show you here in a minute. This moss is from Dollar Tree. I love the fact that it had green as well as brown moss, and I think it was perfect for fall. However, you couldn't even see it anyways because I filled it up with flowers, but nonetheless, it's in there and it looks pretty. I'm going to take some of these little, they're like full little, oh, what do you call it? They're just dried leaves, and I'm just going to start sticking them in everywhere, as well as some faux dried corn stalks that I have had since last year. And I'm going to start with these because they are the taller ones, thinner ones, and I just want to put these in first. And then some of those ones, they're right in the center. And then I'm going to start adding some of the Hobby Lobby flowers that I recently got. These are beautiful. I actually got them in these kind of like orangey tones, as well as the beige, as well as a burgundy. Oh, I'm so in love. But today I'm only going to use 3 of this one because I just want to keep the yellowish, bluish kind of tone here. So then after that, I started adding some of these orange flowers from the Dollar Tree. I just used one pick and then cut off all the little branches, and I'm just going to place them everywhere until I see it nicely even everywhere. Then I'm going to take some of these little faux leather pumpkins from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to use a skewer stick, and I'm going to hot glue the tip and then stick it right on the bottom because they are cotton. They have like cotton inside. And I'm just going to stick them in there, and I'm going to do 3. And I'm going to spread them nicely, you know, maybe 1 in each side and then 1 towards the front. But look how cute this looks. I can't believe this was in the trash, and I have another one that I can do something with, maybe for Christmas. I'm excited, but I think it turned out beautiful. For this next DIY, we are going to cover this decorative pillow. This pillow was on my bed, in my bedroom for a while, and it's had better days. It has a hole on one side, and it's just not the way. It doesn't look pretty. So we are going to give it a fall cottage look here. We're going to take more of that yellow fabric. Don't mind the wonderful cut. I can't believe I cut that so uneven. Anyways, you won't be able to see it. Now I am going to, so this is only going to cover one side of the pillow, like half the pillow. And I am going to make basically a pocket for one side of the pillow. And I'm going to hot glue 2 sides, leaving one of the larger sides open. And that's going to be where I'm going to slide one side of the pillow. I am then going to I'm actually going to flip it inside out so you see what I'm talking about. It's just a little pocket. So then I'm going to take some drop cloth. Now, you know, if you follow me again, you know that I love working with drop cloth. It has a very natural muted tones that I love, and the texture. So I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm just going to cut enough fabric and hot glue 2 ends until I have another pocket. I cut out the word autumn with my Cricut using some stencil vinyl. By the way, I have this stencil vinyl in my Amazon store if you're interested. I really love it for stenciling. And I also have a lot of my supplies and tools and paint that I love from Amazon in my Amazon store, which is linked down below. So I transferred it to the bottom side of the drop cloth, and now I am stenciling it with a makeup sponge as well as that same coastal blue from Rust-Oleum chalk paint. I'm just going to stencil the whole thing, not looking for perfection because I do like a little bit of distressed look, and then it'll be done. And now it's time to get the pillow inside the cover. So we're going to start with the yellow one. It's kind of snug, but that's good. I like making my pillowcases just a little bit smaller than the pillow. That way it fits nicely and they're not going to be too big on them. And then we're going to do the other one as well, overlapping the yellow. And I think this pillow turned out so stinking cute. I love the texture. I love the colors. And what a great way to reuse a pillow that just had better days. But I just love the way it turned out. For this next DIY, we are going to start with this Dollar Tree gourd. It is beautiful. However, I am going to give it a new look. I am going to paint it just one coat of the coastal blue chalk paint and from Rust-Oleum, and then I am going to start. It's going to be like a little stack of pumpkins. As you can see, I did take a dowel and stick it right in the middle, and then I'm going to use one of the Dollar Tree floral foams so that it dries. So this is going to take another one of those little tiny faux leather pumpkins from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to cut a little bit of that ticking stripe fabric, and we're going to wrap it using hot glue. Now this took a little bit because this tiny little pumpkin, it was hard to cover it up, but using some glue and just all 10 of my fingers, I got it to be covered.
It's 2 a.m. and I can't fall asleep 'cause I'm not tired. I'm thinking about the days we used to shine when we were young.
I am now going to take this little white pumpkin that came as inside a pick from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to reuse the little tiny stem that the faux leather pumpkin had, and I'm going to hot glue it to the top. And now we're going to stack everything, hot gluing it in place and creating a little pumpkin stack. Now the Rust-Oleum chalk paint looks like it's still wet, but I promise you it's not. I don't know what was going on with the paint. I don't know, there was something on the actual pumpkin that made it look this way, but it was dry. I mean, my fingers were not getting painted. The white surface was not getting painted. So I don't know. I kind of like it. I enjoy seeing things that are not perfect, but I have no clue why it looked still like it was wet. But we're going to start using some Dollar Tree berries and some Dollar Tree little decorative florals here to add a little bit of something to the pumpkin stack. I tried hot gluing that. You see how it keeps sticking up? I kept pushing it down. It kept coming back up. So in a little bit, I'll show you what I did to keep it down. So here it is. I'm going to bend one of those little wires from the berries, and I'm just going to stick it right onto the foam pumpkin, and that made it stick. And then I realized that it was kind of long, so I cut off a lot of the little brown berries that you see there, and you're gonna see how I hot glue it to the top, and it worked out really well. And we're just about done. Look how beautiful this little stack of pumpkin looks.
To hold my hand, standing in the shadows of where we have been.
We are going to start here in my garage, and I am going to take some of these scrap wood pieces that I have had for a while. They're different lengths, different shapes, but we are going to use several of them. All right, so what I am going to be making is a kind of like a planked style vertical sign for fall. And I wanted to have different style, different thickness, and different textures of wood. So I just went and grabbed just some scrap pieces that I had left over of wood. They're all about the same thickness, which is okay, but I want them to have a different thickness going this way, as well as different textures. So I also got this one. It's a little bit different. It's rounded, but we're gonna cut them to different lengths. And once I had them cut to the length that I wanted, I am now going to just stagger them in whatever pattern I want, whatever seems and feels right to me and what I'm looking for, I guess. And then once I have them, I am going to start painting them. We are going to paint them in multiple colors, and my inspiration for it is this fabric that we are going to be using in a little bit. But I got that at Hobby Lobby, and I just love the colors. It had a very trendy kind of fall theme color, so I am going to, that's my inspiration. So I am going to paint two of them white. I'm not looking for perfection because we are going to be distressing it pretty heavily, so I'm not looking for everything to have full coverage. The other colors, I'm going to go with this yellow by Rust-Oleum milk paint, and I'm also going to use a DIY paint by Debbie's Design Diary and the Apothecary. I'm also going to use a green color by Dixie Belle. And then lastly, I am going to use an amber tone color by Artisa. It's a latex color, but it ended up distressing pretty well, so I was happy with it. So I'm just going to, again, just continue to paint here and let it fully dry. As I mentioned earlier, I am going to distress these pieces pretty heavily, so I am using my palm sander and a 50 grit, not a 50, a 150 grit sandpaper. And I'm just going to go about and just distressing all the boards. You can go as little or as much as you want, or you can leave them just as they were. It's no right or wrong way. I just like the distress look for this particular design. So I'm going to distress all of them, focusing mainly on the edges as well as a little bit in the center. Once they were distressed, I just dusted them off, then flipped them over, and then I just kind of stagger them or kind of spread them as far left and right as I wanted them to go. And then I am going to use two of those larger paint sticks, and I'm going to cut the excess of them off, and then I'm going to brad nail them in place. Using my Cricut, I cut out the phrase, "There is always something to be grateful for." I got inspired by one that I saw on Pinterest, and I thought that is perfect for this sign. So I'm going to use some transfer tape here that I get on Amazon. I do have it linked down below. Actually, a lot of the supplies that I use on my videos, paint, vinyl, cutting tools, my power tools, I have a lot of them in my Amazon store, so check them out. I do have my Amazon store linked down below. So I'm just going to keep transferring the words to each plank, and then we're going to get to adding some screws to the back so that we can hang it. I decided to keep it simple. I added a couple screws to the back, and then I'm going to add some wire and twist it around each screw, and that way we can hang it on the wall if needed. And that's it for this one, guys. It turned out so beautiful. It's actually one of my favorites from today. I love the colors. I love how fall it is, but yet it has just these beautiful trendy colors that I really, really am digging right now. Alright, for this next one, we are going to quickly grab here this little thrift wood that I was kind of cleaning, not too much, guys, but sort of kind of organized in our garage. And I found those thrift woods, and so I picked one of them, and I'm going to cut a piece off of it. Now I am going to take some of that fabric that I showed you earlier. That was the whole inspiration for today's video. I'm going to cut out a piece. I didn't measure it. I just kind of eyed it out. But if I were to measure it, I would say it's about an 18 by 24 inch. But give or take depending. We're just going to make a very simple fabric pumpkin. I'm sure you've seen a million of these versions being made on YouTube and other media, but I decided to make my own, and hopefully it's a little different that can inspire you. So I'm just going to take some of that pillow stuffing. I usually have a Walmart pillow. They're like $3, and I usually have one in my home specifically where I can just take some of the stuffing out as needed. And I'm going to start wrapping the fabric around, right? You know what I'm talking about. Just wrap around, making sure that any of the smaller edges are tucked in into the larger ones so they don't stick out. Now with this one, I don't know why it took me so long to make. I have made so many of these pumpkins, and for some reason I could not get a handle on this one. But nonetheless, I figured it out, and then once I had it tucked in where I wanted, I took some jute twine and I tied it on the center there, on the top, with a simple knot. And then I cut off the excess on top. Now, after I cut off the excess, I realized I never put in my thrift wood in. So then I cut the jute twine off again. This time I'm kind of freaking out because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I let go of these little tiny pieces of fabric on top, but I figured it out. So I'm going to stick the driftwood right in there, and then I'm going to tie everything nicely tight. That way it's not going to come off. Now, if some of the little edges come off, don't stress about it. You can always hot glue it neatly on the sides and it should be fine. But in my case, it actually worked out. But it was truly a miracle because I was struggling with this. So once I had it tight with a knot, again, a very simple knot, I decided to just take some more jute twine and just make a multiple loop bow with it. I just wrap it around my fingers, scrunch it in the middle, take another piece of jute twine, tie it around the middle, and that's it. And then once I had it all done, it was time to then hot glue it to the front of the pumpkin. And I did cut off the excess jute strings that are just laying around there. And that's it for this one, guys. Ooh, this one is definitely one of my favorites. I love this fabric. I love the colors. And again, it was the inspiration for my whole video today. But let me know what you think of this little pumpkin. Oh, I love it. For this next DIY, we are going to take some of these magnolia leaves that I got at the Dollar General. They were only $2 picks, and the bigger one was $2, and then the other one was $2 too, but it was a leftover piece from another project. I am not going to take this Dollar Tree pick that I recently got in their fall section. I'm just going to fan it out, spread it out, and place it right on top of the magnolia leaves. And then I'm going to take this little pick with little pumpkins, again from the Dollar Tree, fan it out, place it on top, and the same with these orange florals. This is a very easy arrangement that we're going to make. You can place on anywhere, really any wall, or even the front door instead of a wreath. I think it will look really beautiful, and it's really easy. I'm showing you a very simple way that you can do it. So once I had all the picks laying right on top of each other, right now I'm just kind of threading several picks, like little branches to come forward and then back, just to kind of make it look a little bit more natural. Once I had it where I want it, I'm going to take more jute twine and I'm going to tie the stems together. And then I'm going to take some burlap ribbon from burlap ribbon. Let's see, burlap fabric. Is it burlapfabric.com? Yes. Anyways, this is burlap ribbon and I'm going to do multiple loops and then cut it out. And then I'm just going to scrunch it in the middle and tie it with some jute twine. Once I have it tied in the back, then I am going to wrap it around the stems and tie it to the stems. And that way it's just nice and secure. I thought about hot gluing it, but it's better when you're working with stems to just tie it in the back. And then once I had it tied in the back, it was time to add some of that fabric again. The fabric that the whole inspiration fabric, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to cut a piece off of it. You see, it's just like a little rectangle. I'm going to fold it until I have about 8 or 9 inches wide. And then I am going to scrunch it in the middle and tie it with jute twine. And that's so that we can create a little bow, but have the fabric tones. I want all these DIYs to kind of go together and like they belong to each other, like they're a set. Once I have it where I want it, now I'm going to, once again, with the excess jute twine, string it in through the flowers and then tie it in the back with a simple knot. I'm going to arrange the bows just so that they look nicely and neat. Then I'm going to take more of that thicker jute twine and wrap it around a few times. And once again, I'm going to make a very simple multiple loop bow, tie it in the middle with some jute twine and hot glue it to the front of the fabric bow. This is just going to finish it off and look very, very cute. Just add some more layers. And then I decided there was something missing right underneath the bows. So that little empty area in the front. So I cut out these 2 picks from a Dollar Tree pick. And I'm going to just slide them in there. I'm not even going to hot glue. Just going to slide them in all the way in as far as I want. And that way it just fills in that little area there. And then to finish everything off, I am going to cut the excess stems just so they're still showing, but just so they are all the same size. And look how cute this little swag is. I love it. It's actually a pretty good size. Most of the items are from the Dollar Tree or the Dollar General. And of course, you can use any ribbon that you may have on hand, and it's perfect for any fall decor. For this next DIY, we are going to take some more of this wood that I have on hand. This is a 1x3, a 1x4, and a 1x6. And we are going to start cutting them all about 9 inches, maybe about 10 inches. The larger one is about 10 inches. And then the medium-sized one was about an inch smaller. And then the smaller one about an inch smaller than that. So then I'm going to cut off an angled cut. This is like a 45 angle cut to each and only on the top of the board. So this is what we're looking. They look like little tiny houses. We are going to paint the larger one in the same Rust-Oleum yellow that I used earlier and only give it 1 coat this time. The middle one, the medium-sized one, is going to be stained using some Waverly antiquing wax. And I'm just going to brush it on and wipe off the excess. And then the smaller one is going to be painted once again with the Apothecary color by DIY Paint. And I'm going to let them fully dry. Once they're dry, we are going to be distressing them once again using my palm sander. And now we are going to just stack them on top of each other, larger to smallest one. And we are going to secure them using brad nails in the 1 inch. And I'm going to place them right in the center so you don't see them on the middle one. Now on the top one, we are going to brad nail them in each corner. That way it looks a little bit neater and more unified. But I don't mind seeing those brad nails. And then once we had them secured, it's time to drill a hole on the larger one. So just on the top one, or the larger one on the top. And I am going to place some hot glue right inside the hole, and then one of these skewers sticks right in there, and then we are going to cut, leaving about an inch on top. Then we're going to take another piece of that driftwood that we used earlier in the pumpkin. We are going to drill a hole on that one as well, put in some hot glue, and then stick it in right in the stick right there. And then that way it's nicely secure and it's not going to come off. We're going to make like a little 3D pumpkin. Now we're going to take some of that thicker jute twine, tie it around the stem. Again, make a multiple loop simple bow, tie it in the center with some jute twine, and hot glue it to the front of the little stem there. And then I decided to take some greenery from, I don't know what it was. I think it was just from greenery that it fell off of another pick. And I'm just going to pull a couple of the green stems there, and I'm just going to hot glue them and place them in right up behind the bow, kind of just sticking out through the back. And I'm going to do that on the other side. And then once I have that all glued on there, that's it. We're done. I guess I could have added a lot more, but I always tend to go on the simple side, and I just think this 3D pumpkin turned out stunning. What a way to add more texture and just another piece of decor with the same kind of, colors that we've been working with. Look how beautiful it looks there with the other fabric pumpkin. I just love it. Alright, so we are going to start with this paneling kind of board here. If you have followed me for a while, you know that I get tons of my wood pieces from the scrap wood area at the hardware store. This was one of those that were cut and somebody left the remaining board. So this was it. And it was only 25 cents, and that is at my store. So if you have a hardware store, ask them if they have a scrap wood area. I am going to give it 1.5 of a coat of, and when I say 1.5 is 1 full coat and then a second one only where it's needed. And this is going to be regular household latex paint. You know that I love chalk paint, but every so often I like to use latex paint, especially for larger projects like these, because, it's a lot less expensive to buy latex household paint. I just want to show you the wood grain, the beautiful wood grain that is showing even through the paint. Do you see that? Using my Cricut, I cut out a stencil that said fall breeze and autumn leaves. And I'm just going to place it right in the center. I designed it to where I have it kind of like centered and a little bit to the right. So I am going to stencil it using this Artisa Amber Color latex paint. It's beautiful. It's perfect for fall. And yeah, I'm just using a makeup sponge, and I'm just going to stencil it and then remove the vinyl. I want this sign as well as my decorations today to have a very traditional farmhouse look. So I am going to distress this. It's going to be heavily distressed, specifically on the edges, but we are going to distress the whole thing. Now, everything that I am making today, I'm actually going to use on my mantle at home. So if you are not subscribed to my home channel yet, I ask that you consider doing so, because this Saturday, I am going to be showing how I use all of these DIYs on my mantle here at home, as well as other DIYs that I have had for a couple of years now. So make sure you tune in this Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern on my home channel so you can see how my mantle looks. All right. So then after everything was distressed and sanded, I am going to distress it even more by adding antiquing wax. I love doing this technique because it just makes everything look just so antique and old. So I'm just going to dab it with a chippy brush, and then I'm going to do that all around. So all around the edge, I'm going to do that. And then on the corners, you can see that I kind of bring it in just a bit more. I'm going to dab, 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 and then I am going to kind of brush a little bit here and there, but I'm also going to then take a dry rag, and I am going to kind of mute and kind of remove any excess antiquing wax. You don't have to do that. I just do that because one, it just kind of mutes it and makes it look a little bit more natural. And two, it removes the excess antiquing wax. Then I'm just going to sand it down even more. Now this time I'm very lightly pushing on the sander. I don't want to remove all the antiquing wax. I just want to soften it just a little bit. And that's it, guys. I think this one turned out absolutely stunning. Wait until you see it on my fireplace. I think it looks beautiful, and it's the center of my fireplace mantle. So can't wait for you to see. All right, so we are out here in my garage, and I have this huge piece, chunk of wood. It is a 2, maybe by 12, and it's a piece that's been here in our garage for a little bit. But I am going to cut the corners in a 45-degree angle using my miter saw, and we are going to create a very large rustic pumpkin for my fireplace.
You needed me like a cargo, you will carry me. I just hope you know my dear, even though it makes sense.
Alright, so now we're back inside, and I am just going to sand this piece of wood. I am going to try to heavily distress the edges just so that it kind of changes a little bit of the color of the wood when you're sanding it. But overall, I am going to sand everything lightly, heavier on the edges, just to, again, remove any splinters, smooth it out, as well as just distress it just a bit. This piece of wood, this stick I got off of my backyard, I did cut out a piece. It's about, I don't know, maybe about 4 inches long. I am going to drill a hole both on the stick as well as the piece of wood, because this is how I am going to attach the stem. And I'm just going to add hot glue in the hole, add a skewer stick right inside, cut the exit stick, and then add hot glue on what will be the stem, and then place it right in. This is going to keep it pretty sturdy, and it's not going to go anywhere. I'm also going to add some of these faux magnolia leaves that I got at Dollar General. I've had them for a while now. I'm just going to add a couple, hot gluing them. And then I decided to add a little cotton stem and some other little decor. I'm just going to drill a couple of holes on the top of the wood, add hot glue, just like I did with the stem, but this time is to hold the cotton stem right in, and then I can just fold it forward. And that way I'm not stapling in. It just looks cleaner, and it just holds it in place pretty well, actually. And I did the same thing with this, I think it's called is it a cattail? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you know what this is called. But I think that's what it's called. And I did the same thing. I just drilled a hole and added hot glue and placed it in. I'm just going to add this piece of leftover jute rope. It literally was a piece of scrap jute rope. I grabbed it, I saw it, I was like, I think that looks good. So I tied it around the stem, and that's it. This pumpkin is stunning, and it is so heavy and so rustic. I love the farmhouse look it has. For this DIY, I am going to take this vase that I very recently got at the thrift store. It was $10. Now, let me tell you, I do not spend $10 on anything at the thrift store except for a couple of things. This one and another vase that I recently got. But that's because this vase, it is insanely heavy duty. It is heavy. It is authentic. It has texture. It is just stunning. So it is a bit too grungy for me, like that yellowish beige color. So I am going to dry brush it, the whole thing. Now you're going to see that I'm going to keep dry brushing and dry brushing and dry brushing. Now I'm going to speed it up just a little bit for you, but I actually want you to see, because I know some of you have asked me in the past, you know, when you dry brush, do this or that. So I'm going to have you watch as much as possible the process. But all I'm doing is adding layer upon layer of dry brush. Now, because the darker areas of the vase is actually indented, the dry brush just kind of go over it, but it doesn't really cover it fully. And I'm only adding a very little amount of paint on the brush every time I dip it in the paint. So as you can see, I'm just adding layer upon layer. And basically, when you are dry brushing, once you add one coat on one side, when you get to that side again, it's already dry. That's why it's called dry brushing. It's just hardly any paint, and it dries pretty quickly. So I just wanted you to see that step by step and kind of like the process. Now, it took me about 20 minutes, so I'm not going to have you watch the whole 20 minutes, but I wanted you to watch enough so that you can kind of get a sense of what it is. So basically, adding layer upon layer of dry brush. All right, friends, so here we are. I'm still working on the vase. I actually enjoy doing this kind of stuff where I can take my time and just kind of make it my own, use creativity, add paint where I need, that kind of thing. But I just really excited about how this is turning out. So let me see if I can get more lighting here. So you see, like, obviously you see a lot more of the white than the yellowish that it had, but you still see a lot of the dark, and you still see some of that yellowish pop through, which make it look very, very authentic and very antique. But I'm just loving the way this is turning out by just dry brushing, taking my time dry brushing, and I think it's turning out awesome. This next DIY is actually pretty simple, but I wanted to add just something more in the yellow tone because the main theme on my mantle this year is going to be yellow. It was the same thing last year, but this year I am going to, create new DIYs so that it looks new, but not spend a lot of money. This gather sign I got at the Dollar Tree recently. It's like an MBF board. It's not pretty heavy duty, but it's pretty thick. And I am going to use this Rust-Oleum milk paint in their yellow tone. I'm just going to start painting it. I did a total of 3 coats. The reason why is because it's milk paint, and it's almost watery. So chalk paint is a lot thicker and has better coverage. Milk paint does not. But I love the color, so I just decided to just paint it. I'm not looking for perfection. Again, we are going to be distressing it with some antiquing wax here in a little bit. But I do want it to be enough covered where you can see the yellow. So I added several coats, I think it was 3 coats of the milk paint, and then made sure that you don't see a lot of the brush strokes. So I just kind of took my time and really brushed it and really make sure that it was the way I wanted it. Now I'm going to take another makeup sponge, and this time I'm going to use it with antiquing wax. I'm just going to dip it, then remove a lot of the excess wax from it, and then just dip and tap on the edges. And I'm going to do that all over the word gather. So I'm going to do it on all the edges, including like the inner edges. If you are DIYing, like when I DIY, I'm never looking for perfection, because if I do, it's going to drive me crazy because no one's perfect. I know I'm not that perfect. So here I'm just dabbing, and you can see that in some areas it's heavier than other. But then what I do is I use my fingers as well as a dry rag, and I just kind of mute it. Just kind of like take off some of the excess, kind of like mute and smudge all the antiquing wax. And that way it looks a lot more natural. All right, we're just about done with this one. Let me know what you think of this one. At first, I was not exactly convinced, and then, wow. That yellow is stunning. And then adding the antiquing wax just add dimension, and I love it. Please make sure you go visit my home channel. Again, it's linked down below. You're going to love the way my mantle turned out. I promise you. For this DIY, we are going to take one of these little houses that I recently got at the Target Dollar Spot. And I think the Target Dollar Spot is now called Bullside Playground. Am I correct? Let me know in the comments if that's correct. And anyways, it brought 3 in a pack for $5. And this is the larger of the 3. And that's exactly, I'm just going to use this one. Just this one for now. I'm going to take this fabric that I recently got also at Hobby Lobby, and I am going to place it on one corner, leaving the frayed part towards the bottom of the house. Using a pencil, I traced it. This is just to give you an idea. If you don't have cutting tools like this rotary cutter, then you can certainly just trace it and cut it with scissors. But I had this tool from Cricut, and I thought I'm going to use it, and it worked out perfectly. And the little chimney part was in the way, so I just flipped it over, and it allowed me to cut that side as well. So I just make sure that it was as close to the edge as possible, but I'm not even going to cut off the frayed portion of the bottom because I love how it looks. Using this tacky glue from the Dollar Tree, I'm just going to place quite a bit amount on it, and then using my fingers, I am just going to spread it. Don't they say that the best tools that you have are in your hands, right? I think that's true, actually. So these, I'm just basically spreading it very thinly as possible, so that they are not big clumps of glue. And then I am just going to place the fabric right on top. Now there's no rush because this glue takes just a little bit to dry. So if you're ever using it, know that you can always move it around. Like there, I was just adjusting the edges, making sure everything was nicely covered. But it worked out well. And then I'm going to take these little grateful wooden word. I got these at Hobby Lobby. They come, I believe it was 6 in a pack, and it had thankful, grateful, blessed, 2 of each. And I'm just going to hot glue it to the center of the house, and I'm going to tilt it. So it's not going to be completely straight. It's just going to have quite a little bit of a tilt. And then on the bottom of that tilt, so on the larger space on the bottom, I'm going to use some of these little acorns and pine cones that I got at Hobby Lobby. It comes a ton in this bag, and it was like $5.99, but I got it at 40% off. I'm going to take the white one and a little pine cone. I'm just going to hot glue them to the bottom there. And that's it, guys. This one is such an easy one, such a quick way of adding like a little bit of a detail to your fall mantle or a console table or in the kitchen even, or even a tier tray. I think it will look great in a tier tray. For this next DIY, I am going to take this wreath. This was actually from last season's Christmas. I got it at the Target Dollar Spot. It was $3, and I kept it. I never did anything with it, so we're going to reuse it today. I am going to remove the hanging ribbon that it had, and then I'm just going to spread out the branches just a little bit. This is going to add the illusion that it's a little bit of a larger wreath than what it actually is. Then I'm going to take some of these flowers that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to cut out 3 of them. We're going to stay with a theme of 3s here. You're going to notice throughout as we continue to build this fall wreath. I'm going to bend the remaining stem that I cut off, and I'm going to just thread it through one of the branches, and I'm going to take some crafting wire, just flexible wire, and I'm just going to tighten it, and I'm going to do that with all 3 flowers. I also got these little picks from Hobby Lobby, and I just thought they were perfect for this wreath. And I'm going to leave the pick just, or the stem, just the size that it came, and I'm going to thread it right through the same wire that I tightened the flower with. And then the remaining stem, I'm just going to wrap around the wreath. And then I'm just going to thread the flower part, or like the little feathery flower part, towards the front, just like that. That way it's in the front. And I took all three of them and used them, and I did it right next to each flower. Now we're going to add a little bit of color. I got these at Hobby Lobby as well, and I believe they were $5.99, 40% off. There are these 4 faux leather leaves, and I thought they were beautiful. And I'm just going to start again using 3 of them, and I'm just going to start hot gluing them all around until I kind of see what I like. So I'm just kind of keeping a pattern, but not too perfectly, because I want it to look natural. I'm now going to add some of these blue Dollar Tree flowers that I got recently in their fall collection. And I'm going to cut out 3 little stems. And again, I'm just going to start hot gluing them right in the center of each, like in between the flower and the leaf kind of thing. And again, just making sure that I like what I see, where I place them. And there's no right or wrong way. You just want to follow your instincts and just make it look as natural as possible. At this point, I realized that I don't have a quite figured out which part of the wreath is like the top or the bottom. So I decided to take the ribbon that I'm going to use to hang it, and then that way I can identify where the top is. Because you know, when you're making a wreath, if you've ever made a wreath, you know that there's usually a spot that you kind of say, yeah, that's the top of it. I don't know if that makes sense. So I found it. I added a piece of the ribbon, threaded through in between the top and the flowers, and then I just knotted it. So now I'm going to add some of these larger pine cones. I got a huge bag at Hobby Lobby, again 40% off. And I'm just going to hot glue them right in between all the florals. And again, just kind of adding them separately. You know, not doesn't have to be in the same spot, but they just have to be evenly dispersed so that it's pleasing to the eye. And at this point, I was thought, am I done? Should I leave it? And then I said, you know what? I got this Gather galvanized sign from the Target Dollar Spot last season, and I never used it, and I found it in my Target Dollar Spot box, and I thought, perfect. So I added some, again, crafting flexible wire to each end, and then I am going to thread it all through the flowers, and then I am going to tighten it in the back. I considered hot gluing it, but I thought it would kind of like weigh down some of the leaves and flowers, so I thought using wire was the best option. So again, I'm just going to add 2 of the wires, 1 on each end, and then twist them, and then I'm just going to thread them through the flowers all the way to the back, and that way I can tighten them and twist them in the back, and it looks like it's been placed and it's not weighing down the arrangement. Once I had it where I wanted it, now I'm just going to arrange the flowers. So naturally it flattened out some of the florals, but now I'm just going to fluff it and bring forward anything that I need to bring forward, and just kind of fix the flowers. So that way it looks natural and it looks put together. Look how beautiful this wreath is. Now it's on the smaller side because it was already a small wreath from the Target Dollar Spot. but it just served as a perfect wreath for any additional detail to any decor, and I love it. For this next DIY, we are going to head to the side of my house, and please don't mind the mess. But I found this stick. Look how awesome this stick is, and I actually thought it was going to take me longer to find one, and it was right there as I entered the gate. So we brought it in, and I am going to cut a piece of it because we are going to make a pumpkin. Now, this round wood portion, it's from a tier tray from the Target dollar spot. It was $5. I got it last year, and I used it as a tier tray, and then I didn't need it anymore, so I removed the round parts, and I still have another one actually. So I drilled a hole on the end of the stick that I cut out, and I also drilled a hole on the top of the round wooden piece. And then I'm just going to add hot glue and a skewer stick right inside. I use this trick all the time because it works really well. Then I'm going to add hot glue into the hole on the stick as well, and then just press it right in. That way it's going to be nicely secure and it's not going to go anywhere. It actually works really, really well. You're going to think the stick is a little big. It is. But I did it purposely because I am going to add a lot of like flowers and stuff. And I just thought if I make it smaller, it's either going to cover the stick or cover a lot of the pumpkin, like a lot of the round portion. And I didn't want that. So I'm going to take one of those faux fall leaves. Faux leather, there it is, faux leather leaves, and I am going to hot glue it right there where the stick and the wood round meet. And then I'm going to take some of these flowers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut. First I thought I needed two, but I ended up using just one. I cut off the stem and hot glued it on there as well. Now I'm going to take one of those acorns. This time I'm going to take a green one, and I'm just going to hot glue it on the opposite side of the flower. I just think it added a little bit of a cute little detail. And I'm also going to add a larger pine cone. And I think that was perfect. Then I'm just going to keep adding things as I see fit. So if you're doing things like this, just keep going slowly. Just add as you see fit. And my advice is, for me, it always works to just, once you feel in your heart it's done, it's done. Don't keep adding because you can ruin something by just keep adding and adding and adding. But that's just my advice. I added a little pick from the Dollar Tree, and look how stunning. This was part of a tier tray, guys. Seriously. I didn't need the tier tray, but I kept the wood rounds, and I'm so glad I did. And I still have another one. We'll see what I do with that one. For this next DIY, we are going to take one of these 1x3s. I think it's a 1x3. It looks like a 1x3. Maybe it's a 1x4. I don't know. I had it. I found it in the hardware store in the scrap wood area. It was a longer piece, and I cut it in half. And I am going to use it to make a 3D sign. I'm going to use these scrap pieces of paint sticks that I had. These are the larger ones, the 25-gallon ones. I keep the scrap pieces because for these things like this, you can easily use. I'm going to wood glue and brad nail them together. And this is just going to hold the two boards together. And then clean off some of that excess wood glue because, you know, I can't seem to like not put enough glue. I add so much. Anyways, once I have the boards all set, I'm going to give it one coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the coastal blue and then let it fully dry. Now I'm going to sand down pretty heavily the edges of the board. And at first I thought maybe not too much, and then I was like, oh, let's do it a little heavier. It's not heavy distress. It's more of a medium distress, mainly focusing on the edges as well as the middle because it just has, you know, that plank look, and I just wanted to make that stand out. So I dusted it off and cleaned it off, and I'm going to take one of these family wooden words from the Target dollar spot. They were $3, and I am going to wood glue and brad nail it to the center of the board, again giving it a little bit of a slant style. I don't know why I like to slant my words, but I just think it looks better than straight. Not too much of a slant, but a little bit. These are the 1-inch brad nails that I'm using here. And in this case, I ended up not filling in the holes because I felt like it added to the, I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. Then I added some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to staple it to the back, and that's where we can hang it from. I'm going to add some flowers here from Dollar Tree. Some of this orange, it's like a burnt orange. It's beautiful. A little yellow one that I had for a while. Actually, my daughter recommended that I used this little tiny one, and I thought it was perfect. And then I'm going to use a pine cone once again, just kind of keep everything in the same kind of family, and hot glue it there to the center. And then one more of those Dollar Tree picks that I cut off of a larger pick, and I'm just going to place it there on the other side. And then I'm going to use one of those tiny little white acorns and hot glue it there. And that finished it off, guys. Look how stunning this looks. So while I was at the Dollar General recently, I found this white truck. Now, I love trucks. Probably you do too. And they come in red for Christmas. They come in all kinds of color. This black one, or this white one, is stunning and it's beautiful. But it was $12 and I kind of hesitated. But then I thought, it's such good quality. The truck itself is really beautiful. The decor, however, could have been a little better. It was kind of like thrown in there, and I didn't like it, so I removed the whole thing. And then I'm going to take some Dollar Tree florals and some of these little moss balls, and I'm just going to start making it into this beautiful arrangement. And I'm just going to speed it up for you. I'm just going to bring you along as you see how some simple Dollar Tree or dollar store items can turn any decor into a higher end looking, or maybe even a decor that comes straight out of a boutique. And this is what's going to happen with this truck. The moss just kind of gives it the fullness on the inside in case you can see through. And now I'm just going to take some of these picks and just start pressing them, pushing them right onto the foam, just around the perimeter. So on the sides, on the back, but I'm going to leave the center and the front just open because we're going to add some pumpkins and some flowers. This sunflower is stunning. It's actually from Hobby Lobby. I believe it was $3.99, but it was on sale, 40% off, and I loved it. So I'm going to place it right in the front, and then this little white pumpkin that came in a bundle from Hobby Lobby as well. Now I'm going to take some of these white flowers from the Dollar Tree. Actually, it was the ones that came with the arrangement. I'm going to reuse them. And then I am going to take this one from the Dollar Tree and just place it there in the center. And look, how stunning does this look? And yes, it was $12, but if you were to find this at a higher end store or a boutique, you would be paying quite a bit more. I love it. I love the style. I love the neutral colors, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. For this next DIY, I am going to take this very simple Hello Fall sign from the Dollar General. It was $1, and we are going to give it a brand new look that's going to look like it came from a boutique. I'm going to remove everything from it, which is basically just the little, the little hanging wire there with the beads. And we're going to keep them because we're going to put them right back on it. Now I'm going to take the Waverly chalk paint in the moss, and I'm going to give it 2 coats. Don't you love this color? It is just so like butter. I don't know. It's just muted. It's beautiful. It glides on. I just love it. Anywho, so 2 coats later, I let it fully dry, and now I'm going to add one of these thankful wooden words from Hobby Lobby. They came in a little bundle of like 8 of them, and I'm going to hot glue it right kind of like towards the top with a little bit of a tilt to it, because we're going to add some details on the bottom. We're going to take this pumpkin, and at first I thought I'll cut it with the scissors, but using the serrated knife worked beautifully. So now we're going to hot glue that to the bottom of the pumpkin, and then we're going to add the little moss ball to it. And I just thought, is it odd to add a moss ball? But then I said, you know what? No, I'm going to do it because it looks just fancy, I guess. And then I'm going to add one of these small little pine cones that Came a little baggie with some acorns from Hobby Lobby. So now we're going to take the wire again. We're just going to replace all those little beads. We're going to place it back on. But when I placed it back on, I tightened it a little bit more. When I bought it, it was a little loose and the beads were kind of dancing around, and I wanted it to be snug, tight, and look, I guess, just nice. You know, it looked high end, and I honestly love the way it turned out. And that hello fall design that I had at first, it was nice, but I think these little hacks here for just adding a few little decor gave it a whole different level, and I love it. For this next DIY, we are going to take this tag sign from the Dollar General. It was $2 and it's actually quite like a good size. Again, we're going to remove everything from it and we're going to put it to the side because we are going to reuse that little pumpkin. I'm going to sand down just a little bit of that paper because it kind of pulled off and I just want it to be smooth as possible. Removing the jute twine as well, and then we're going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum Chalkman and the linen white. We're going to cover the top and the bottom, but I did want it to have a lighter undertone, so I am going to paint the whole thing. I'm going to remove all this glue. This actually took me the longest from this whole DIY. It was stuck on there. But anyways, I got it out. We're going to use that moss green again from Waverly Chalkman. We're going to give it 2 coats and also let it fully dry. And then we are going to take this tacky glue from the Dollar Tree and we're going to apply generously, but we're going to spread it. I'm just going to use my fingers and I'm going to spread it thinly towards the bottom. So it's probably about 3.5, maybe 4 inches wide. It don't matter. I just eyed it out. And then I'm going to take this buffalo check fabric that I recently got at Hobby Lobby and I'm just going to start applying or place it on top. Then cut the X's and I'm going to do the same thing to the top, and then using my rotary cutter I am going to cut it nicely trimmed on the sides. We are now going to hot glue the little pumpkin right back on it. Instead of in the center, it's going to be towards the left side. And then we're going to use some of these rub-on letters from the Dollar Tree. I've never used them. Not these, at least. I've used other rub-ons, but to say that it gave me a hard time was to say the least. I struggled, guys. So the end result in the letters is not my favorite. I will admit it. I will tell you right now. However, I left it because it is what it is. You know, sometimes you just don't get it the way you want it, and it's okay. But overall, I think it worked out well. But they kept sticking to everything, and then I didn't have enough letters. And how does it look? Does it look okay? I don't know. I think it's fine. Anyways, I am going to take some of these Dollar Tree picks, and I'm just going to start hot gluing them, one on each side, kind of like falling to the sides. And then some of these lamb's ear that I already had on hand from Walmart, just hot gluing a couple of them just to add fullness and bring out a little bit more of that green tone. And then I'm going to take one of the little pumpkins that came in a bundle from Dollar Tree. We're going to hot glue one right there. And then a little acorn that I mentioned. I got these little acorns and pine cones in a little baggie, but there's a ton of them and they come in different colors, but I'm going to stay with the neutral colors today, and I am going to place one right underneath as well as a small pine cone. And then I'm going to take a larger pine cone and I'm just going to hot glue it there to the side, and that completes it, at least with the arrangement portion of it. Now I'm going to take some of this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut a piece of it and tape the end that I cut because it will fray if you don't. And I'm just going to hot glue it to the back of the tag. This is going to stay in place nicely, and it's going to give it a neutral, very textured hanging portion for it. But yeah, I think it turned out absolutely stunning. The way it was, again, it was beautiful, but I think adding a few little details from dollar store, and anything you may have on hand, any other fabric you could have done as well. I just love the way it turned out. Beautiful. For this next DIY, I am going to take this little faux cutting board. It's like a decorative one. It had a chalkboard, and it's from the Dollar General, and we're just going to remove the center portion, but we're not going to get rid of it. We're going to reuse it. So carefully, I score it using a small little screwdriver, and then just carefully pulled it apart because, of course, I didn't want to break it. The board was actually $3, which I thought was a pretty good deal. I actually got several, and throughout the months I have done different DIYs, so they're very versatile. So I am going to spray it with this adhesive spray. What a mess. That thing came out like, I was like, what is happening? That thing sprayed so hard. It was dripping. It did the work and it worked out fine, but it was a mess. Anyways, I applied some of this buffalo check fabric again, and I'm just going to trim it to the sides using my rotary cutter. Once again, that way it's just nicely trimmed and it looks nice. So now I'm going to take the actual cutting board kind of edge or trim, and I'm going to dry brush some Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. This is to lighten it up a little bit. It was just a little too dark for the buffalo check style that I wanted to have. So I'm just going to dry brush it, but it's going to be a little bit of a heavy dry brush. And I'm going to do that all around and let it fully dry. And then when it was dry, it was just time to put everything together. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to place the buffalo check board now, and I'm just going to staple it from the back, and being very careful because the MDF board can be tricky to work with. I did have staples that were perfect size because I didn't want it to go through on the other side. But once it was secured in place and stapled as needed, now I'm going to start adding some pumpkins. These are just a combination of pumpkins that I had from Hobby Lobby, from Dollar Tree, just some things I had. I stayed in the neutral tone once again, and I'm just going to start stacking them and hot gluing them, as well as some florals from the Dollar Tree. I am going to place the little jute string that was actually on the tag earlier, and I'm just going to replace it on this one, and I'm going to thread it through and tighten it. And that's it, guys. Look how beautiful this looks. Again, it's just some decor that I already had on hand, and just using a little bit of creativity turned this I guess it wasn't horrible, right? The faux cutting board, it was nice, but just didn't have the look that I wanted. So with a few things, using decor that I already had in hand, I turned it into this beautiful decor, and look how beautiful everything looks together. Ring from that Target dollar spot. Gorgeous. It was $3, but it's actually so sturdy. The beautiful golden tone, I fell in love with it. I actually got two, but today we're working with just one, and I am going to make a very simple wreath. If you've seen my last video of fall wreaths, which I can put in the description box below, I love my wreaths very simple, very, very just elegant but simple. Let's just put it that way. So I'm going to do a similar one that I did with a regular grapevine wreath in that last video, but today I'm using this golden ring from the dollar spot at Target. I'm going to take these wheat bush stems from Walmart that I got, and I have used in pretty much most of my videos and DIYs for fall. I'm going to hot glue one in each direction, one going up and one going down, and I'm going to keep the shape of that ring. I almost want to make sure that ring is hidden behind that stem, and I'm going to focus on the bottom right side of that ring.
I would be
Now, these are some peonies I got on Amazon. They are the coffee tone. They are stunning, my friends. If you follow me, you know that I am a little bit obsessed with peonies. And normally the pinkish vintage color ones, but these coffee tones are perfect for fall. So I am going to add a couple here, the larger one facing up and then the smaller one facing down.
I just wanna say that I feel that our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal. Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right.
I made a very simple bow using burlap ribbon from burlapfabric.com. I'm going to have the website linked down below. They have beautiful selections of burlap anything. And I'm just going to place it in between both flowers there, just nice and snug. And hot glue it in place. Did I hot glue it? No, I think I tied it in the back. And then that's basically it. I'm just going to add a ribbon, the same burlap ribbon on the top, and that's where I'll hang it from, and then we'll be done.
Oh, love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare. And I wanna take you there.
One thing I do want to mention is, and that's why I'm kind of gonna show you here what I did with this. When I do wreaths that have the decor on one side of it instead of the bottom or all around it, for obvious reasons, it tends to be heavier on that side. So I wanted to mention that I did hot glue the ribbon to the actual ring, because otherwise then the ring will just obviously, just gravity will take over and it would make that wreath kind of tilt to the right. So that's why I'm hot gluing it and making sure that it's not going to go anywhere and it is as straight as possible. But look how beautiful, simple, elegant this wreath is.
I would give it all away to do it all again. Make our love a story that would never end. Never thought I'd feel so alive.
This is another kind of like a wreath form. This was also $3. Again, that golden tone that I thought it was very, very cute. I'm going to remove that string. It's like a leather or pleather, I guess, a little string. I'm going to remove that. We're going to put it back on in a little bit. I want to make a wreath here, but I'm going to make it in a pumpkin shape. So I'm just going to add a piece of scrap rope to it, to the little ring on top, and I'm just going to tie it regularly, nothing major. This is going to serve as, because I'm going to create a nice long stem for this pumpkin here, and I want something for the aluminum foil to hold on to. So that's what I use. I saw this technique being used by Mama Dares to DIY. I've already used it in several projects, and I just love this technique. So I'm going to have her channel linked down below if you want to check out her videos. They're so creative, so creative. So this is where I got this technique from. So I'm just going to wrap some aluminum foil, and I'm going to keep wrapping until I like the thickness and the shape. So I'm going to make it thicker on the bottom, just like any pumpkin stem would be, and then go thinner as I go. And then I'm going to kind of curl it in a way that I think it would look cute.
Oh, I just wanna love you right. Oh, oh, love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare. And I wanna take you there.
After I hot glued a little bit of the base of the stem there, just so it didn't move so much, I'm going to now wrap it with some Dollar Tree nautical rope. Now, if you've ever separated each strand from the rope, I don't know if you have or not, but when you separate them, each strand has like a ton of jute twine. So when you separate them, this jute twine kind of separates, I guess, it loosens up. And then when I wrapped it around the stem, it doesn't look like rope. It just looks like a whole bunch of jute twine wrapped around the stem, and you'll see it. But basically, I'm just going to hot glue to secure it and then wrap it around until the entire stem is wrapped in this rope or jute twine in this case.
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you. No one else makes me feel this way, don't know what you do. Hold my hand, could you hold my hand, look me in the eyes. You and me, yeah, that's all I need, and I'll be alright. I'll be right here, I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer, I wanna stay here with you. All that we have is each other now.
So you can see it there a little bit better that it doesn't even look like rope. It just looks like a whole bunch of jute twine. All right, so you can see some of the aluminum foil there on the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of just thread more of this rope around and around until everything is covered. And then again, securing it with hot glue.
Promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll
So now it's time to add some florals. These are some faux grassy plants that I got on Amazon. They are on my Amazon store, which is linked down below. I'm going to thread a couple branches, one facing up, the other one facing down. And I'm going to keep, again, the decorations very simple and on the right side of the wreath. But instead of the right bottom of the wreath, this was going to be a little bit directly on the side of the wreath. And threading it through the chicken wire there just makes it a lot more secure. I didn't even have to hot glue it, but I'm just going to add hot glue now to add these yellow baby spreads that I also got on Amazon. I'm going to add a little bundle, again facing up, and another one facing down.
be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love. All that we have is each other now. Promise you won't leave my side. I hope who I am is enough for you. If I'm giving you my love, giving you my love.
I'm going to take some burlap fabric, or burlap ribbon from burlapfabric.com, and I'm going to make a very simple bow, and I'm going to tie it in the middle using that leftover strand of rope that I have. I just thought it would just tie everything together, and just going to tie it simply in the middle, nothing too fancy. Cut the X's, and then I'm going to hot glue it in the center and between the flowers.
Tell me what you wanna do. I'll do anything. As long as I can be here with you, everything's alright. I'll be right here. I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side.
So there you have it. I added that little pumpkin from the Dollar Tree there, just clipped right to it. And here I'm going to add that little piece of leather to be able to hang it. I actually put it on right directly underneath the stem, but I had to move it again because the floral arrangement made the wreath just kind of hang to the right. So as you can see, I had to move it just to even it out. But look how cute this looks, and really so simple, guys.
Who I am is enough for
these two cute pumpkins at Kirkland's. They have them both a set for $65, and I thought I can definitely recreate these perfect for fall. So I'm going to start with some painter sticks. And I didn't need, I'm going to be creating two pumpkins as you saw in the original set. So over here, I'm just marking where I want to make some cuts. This taller one here is going to be the center one where it will stick out with the stem. And then I'm going to cut the other ones at 6 inches, and it's going to be 5 on each side. And that way I'll have a total of 11 sticks. And I'm going to do the same thing for both pumpkins. And once again, I'm going to use my miter box. Now you're going to see the miter box slide here and there. I should put something underneath it, but I'm here just showing you how it works. And it just, my surface is a little slippery, but it does have one side of the bottom of the box is longer than the other one, and you can actually kind of clip it to the side of the table, and that's what I did for the rest of the cuts. But just for purposes of showing you how the miter box works, I'm just showing you here. I'm doing it on top of the table or on the center of the table. But if you do not have a miter box, I do have it linked in my Amazon store, which is linked down below in the description box. I highly recommend it if you are often making crafts that have smaller woods like these. Is really good to work with. All right, so now I have all my cuts made for both my pumpkins. So it's time to just cut the angled cuts from the two side sticks. So basically here I'm just drawing the direction of the angles or the direction of the cuts that I need, but I'm going to use the angles that are in the miter box to make the cuts. Hey guys, so I want to encourage you to visit Christy's channel, the host of Cheek for Cheap every month. It is linked down in the description box below, as well as a playlist for the challenge. So if you are going to participate in this challenge, go ahead and check out that playlist link and add your video to it. Hey guys, so I want to tell you that these painter sticks are very inexpensive. I get them on Amazon and they come 200 in a huge box and they're only $20. There's literally 1 cent per each stick. I have them in my Amazon store linked down below. All right, so now I'm just going to sand off a little bit of the splintery ends on the sticks so that it is nice and smooth and not splintery at all. And then it's time to put things together. I'm just going to use hot glue to put them together because these painter sticks, as you know, they're not very thick, they're not very heavy, and hot glue would be sufficient. So the original pumpkins are planked like, and you can see through them just a little bit. So here I'm just going to separate them just a bit so that you can see through them a little bit. I am using my square to kind of keep them straight because I am going to use 2 painter sticks on the back of them to glue them and put them together. And I know that the painter sticks are 12 inches long as my square is, so I'm going to use that as a measurement. And again, I'm just going to use some hot glue, and I'm going to use 2 painter sticks, one towards the top and one towards the bottom, to secure them. Alright guys, so let's start painting. I'm going to paint these pumpkin using Artisa paint. This is their fabric paint, but I used them. I didn't have another orange color tone, so this is the only thing that I had, and it actually worked beautifully. It has such good coverage. I'm going to have the link to this paint down below. Again, they're fabric paints, but I'm using them on wood and they worked perfectly fine. So if you're interested, Artisa is offering you a 10% discount today on these paints, and actually site-wide, and that is effective until September 30th, 2020. So check it out and use the promo code in the description box down below and take advantage of that 10%. So I'm going to give each of them one coat. One of them is going to be with their orange, and then on the other one it's going to be white.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything.
Alright guys, so as you can tell, I left the stem portion bare wood, so I'm just going to stain it now using Waverly Antiquing Wax. I'm just going to give it one coat and then wipe off the excess, and I'll do that on both pumpkins.
But I ain't got nothing left. I've been staring at the ceiling, I've been staying up all night. Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question, 'cause I haven't got a clue. Was it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do? I've been running.
Alright, so these painter sticks are actually thicker ones. They were pieces left over from a previous project, and they're the painter sticks that are like super long, like the 5-gallon one painter sticks. So I had these leftovers from a previous project, and I thought they'd be perfect to have a base for my pumpkins, just like the original pumpkins have. So I'm just going to give them, again, one coat of the Waverly Antiquing Wax, wipe off the excess, and let them dry.
Trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left.
Right, so the original pumpkins were a little bit distressed on the edges, so I'm going to use the Waverly Antiquing Wax and my stenciling brush to add some shadowing and distressing on the edges of both pumpkins. That way it adds some dimension, but also we want to keep it as authentic as the original ones as possible.
And I know there's so much more to this life, but it's hard to see it clearly.
Alright, so now it's time to add some florals. These are some leaves from the Dollar Tree. They come in a little packet, and they come like a whole bunch in them. They're fabric, and I'm just going to use a few of them on both of the pumpkins, secure them with hot glue, and then I'm also going to add a flower from the Dollar Tree that I clipped off of a flower little bush stem that I got, and then I'll do the same thing on the other one.
Look out, here she comes, the woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before.
Alright guys, so the original pumpkins had the words thankful and blessed. Now I have this thankful tin words from Dollar Tree that I thought would be perfect for this one. Now I didn't have one that said blessed, but I did have one that said welcome, and I thought it would be okay to place it on the orange one. So that's what I did, and I'm just securing them with hot glue. And then I will be securing each pumpkin to the base of the one that I created earlier. That way they can stand upright. And I'm going to just secure them with hot glue as well. And I'm going to use a piece of leftover dowel. This is not the same dowel as I used for my previous DIY. This is a thinner one. I had leftover some pieces from my previous project, and I thought I just need something to give it a little bit more stability. So I'm going to hot glue the dowels on the base first, and then add hot glue to the base as well as the dowel, and then I can attach the pumpkins.
You say take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too. Later, it comes later, dear, for many of us. I promise you that we learn through the wrongs, and even the rough can be sweet. Just close your eyes and know beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so
I'm going to take this Dollar Tree wooden leaf, and I'm going to give it one coat of the Bare Mossy Bench paint.
who you are, who you really are. Yeah, don't need you here to say you're sorry, 'cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it.
Once it was dry, I am now going to take these doilies from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use just one of them, and I'm going to hot glue it to the surface of the leaf. That way you see the doily, but you also have that teal tone undertone underneath, and it just looks super beautiful, super chic. And what a great way to use these doilies.
Shooting me with words, but I won't let them bruise. Even though it hurts, I won't show it to you. 'cause it will ricochet. I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that I'm alright. Like a ricochet, it will come back to you. 'Cause I don't care about you anymore.
Once again, I'm going to use the cutting tool that Tisa sent me, and it just made the work so much easier than cutting. I don't know if you've ever tried cutting around wood with a lot of detail like this with scissors, but it's not easy. So with this tool, you can just get really close to the edge and make a very good cut.
You can't hurt me like you did before. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away.
Alright, so now I am going to distress it just a bit on the edges using Waverly Antiquing Wax and my stenciling brush. I'm just going to do the very, very edges just to add some dimension to the leaf. Alright, so there's that little pumpkin I did earlier and that I didn't use on my previous DIY. So I'm going to hot glue it there to the bottom of the leaf, as well as a flower from Dollar Tree.
I used to let it in, all the things you said. You try to turn me into somebody else.
I am going to take Rust-Oleum Hammered Golden Tone Spray Paint, and I'm going to spray paint this Harvest word. It's like a tin word from the Dollar Tree, but again, I'm going with that golden tone, so I am just going to give it one good coat of the paint. And then once it was dry, it's time to attach it to the leaf using hot glue, and then we'll be done. Guys, this is another one that's very unique, very chic, and it has that fall look, but again with that beautiful pop of color.
But it will ricochet, I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that I'm alright. Like a ricochet, it will come back to you. 'Cause I don't care about you anymore. So you can't hurt me like you did before. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. And even if you're trying to hurt me, my skin's getting thicker each day. Don't know how you fall asleep at night.
So I'm going to take this Dollar Tree red truck sign and I'm going to remove everything from it. The only thing I'm not going to remove is those words. The word Happy Harvest actually is textured and it has like a little bit of glitter, but it's not too much, but I'm going to leave it on because later on I'm going to trace over it. So for now, I'm just going to remove everything, and then I'm going to take my blade knife and I'm going to cut the top portion from the bottom. So I'm going to have two pieces. And then once I had it cut, I sanded down the edges that I cut so that they are nice and straight and smooth. All right, so now I'm going to tape the wheels because I want to keep them the black tone, but everything else is going to get 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Not because my eyes are open, your
All right, so while the truck dries, I am going to take these two little pumpkins from the Dollar Tree and I am going to cut them in half, straight down the middle. That way I'll have 4 half pumpkins. I'm going to use my blade knife for this one, and again, I'm just going to cut it right in half.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through.
And now I'm going to paint 2 of them in the mossy bench and 2 of them and the other 2 with Rust-Oleum chalk paint and the linen white.
I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything.
I went outside and I grabbed a random little branch and I'm just cutting little pieces of it because these are going to be my stems for the 4 little pumpkins. And I'm going to secure them to the pumpkins using hot glue.
Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question, 'cause I haven't got a clue. Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do?
Alright guys, this is when things get really fun for me. So I'm going to take this Dollar Tree foam board and I'm going to cut several pieces. 2 of them are going to be more like rectangular, longer pieces, and they're about 1.25 inches thick. However, I did have to cut more of it off. So they turned out to be about 1 inch thick, and I don't really know how long they are because I just measured it with the bottom of the truck, but I would guess it would be about 5 inches long or so. So I'm going to have those 2 pieces, and those are the pieces that are going to then act like it's going to give the truck a 3D effect. So it's going to have like a mini truck bed, which I think is super cute. So I'm going to hot glue them vertically on the back of the truck, making sure that I am gluing them no wider than the top portion of the truck. All right, so now I am going to cut another piece. This is going to be a larger piece, but I'm going to keep it in the same width. That's what I'm doing there, as those ones that I just glued. And this is going to be the part that's going to then go behind the top portion, and it's going to then be glued to the bottom portion. And I know that sounds complicated, but you'll see it here. So I'm just going to hot glue that part there, and that's how it's going to kind of join together and become more of a 3D truck where you would have a mini tiny bed. All right, before we put anything together, I want to then now add some of the details that the truck had, which it lost because I painted over them. I'm going to use the Waverly Antiquing Wax, and I'm just going to add some shading, some of the details like the bumper right there, and some distressing to give it more of a farmhouse look.
It's hard to see it clearly. Yeah, I tried my best, but nothing turns out right. God, I need.
And I did the same thing with the top part.
Now so different.
Right, so now I am going to trace, as I mentioned earlier, the word Happy Harvest. So I'm going to use the mossy bench and a small brush, and I'm just going to trace it because I can see the letters through the paints because I left them so they're a little bit raised, and that way it was easy to just follow.
I ain't got nothing left. I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying.
All right, here we go. So let's put everything together. I'm going to add hot glue. Now, I don't know why I'm adding hot glue in the entire part because I'm only going to need about half of it. But there you have it. I'm going to now attach the top portion to the bottom portion so it's flush with the two little pieces I added. And guys, this is so cute. Look at that. Oh my gosh. So now I'm going to add these little pumpkins, half pumpkins. They're going to look like they are stacked on the back of this truck, which is so adorable. And again, just hot glue them to the back there.
Look out, here she comes. The woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel because she has someone who makes her happy.
And now I'm going to add a few little details using these little faux florals. These are like dried wheat bushes that I got from Walmart. And basically I'm going to add 3 of them, just scattering them around, and we'll be done, guys. And as I said, this is my favorite. I am so in love with them. From the little tiny pumpkin to the truck, and it has that tiny bed. Those pumpkins just fit perfect there. I'm just so happy with the way it turned out.
And beauty lives in me It's gonna take some time to get there. I don't care, I'm in for the fight. It's gonna take some time, but I know that beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me.
So I'm going to use Rust-Oleum milk paints and chalk paint to give these wood slices beautiful fall colors. This one is a yellow tone. Again, I'm going to have everything linked down below, or listed, I should say, down below. The second one is a beautiful blue tone, kind of like a teal blue tone. And then the third one will have a chiffon cream tone.
Later, it comes later, dear. For many of us, I promise you that we learn through the wrongs. And even rough can be sweet. Just close your eyes and know beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you.
All right, so now that everything is nice and dry, I am going to drill a hole on the top of each wood slice because they're going to be pumpkins. And I'm also going to drill holes in 3 little wood stems from the Dollar Tree.
That beauty lives in me It's gonna take some time to get there.
Now I'm going to fill the holes with some hot glue and then put in these little leftover sticks from another project that I had. And I'm just making sure that they're nicely snug in there. And then I'm going to cut the excess stick, and then I'm going to place more glue inside the wood stems. That way it's nice and secure, and I'll do the same thing on all 3.
I don't care
Alright, so now it's time to add some of the details. This was a nautical rope, a little piece of nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. I separated all the 3 strands, and then now I'm separating even more each strand to have all these little curly, just super cute jute twines. And I'm just going to wrap it around each stem, just tie it as if it was a scarf.
So I trust you when you say beauty lives in me too.
And now I'm going to add a leaf from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pick colors that really contrast well against the base color of the pumpkin. For the blue one, I picked the yellow and the orange. For the white one, I picked the red one, and then the yellow, I picked the green leaf.
Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me.
Now I'm going to add these little pieces of scrap wood to the back of each of them, and I'm going to secure them with wood glue and brad nails. That way they can stand upright without falling.
I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. I would wait a lifetime if you were at sea. I just wanna say that I feel that our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal. Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right. Oh, oh, love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare. And I wanna take you there. I would give it all away to do it all again.
3, guys, I'm going to take these 2 old drawers. I believe my mom brought them to me. They're very old, not very old, just very dirty and just sticky. I'm going to need just the front part of the drawers for these for this DIY. So I'm going to remove them, and then I'm going to give it a good clean and a light sanding.
Let's be honest for a second. Yeah, you're being over your head, babe. 'Cause there is no one other than me that can make you feel the way you feel when I hold you. I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do.
After everything was dry, I am now going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Here we are in a car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah, don't need you here to say you're sorry.
After the paint was dry, I am now going to distress just the edges using a 120 grit sandpaper.
'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Just do.
Everything is sanded in the way I want. I wanted the distress to just be on the edges, so I am now just dusting the dust. Now I'm going to take the florals that are going to be on the actual decor, and I'm just going to place them on top so I can kind of mark where I want to pre-drill some holes. I'm going to use my drill to drill the holes, and that's where I am going to then secure the florals with some wire from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to tighten it in the back on both of them, and then I did cut the excess wire so it's just not hanging out. And then I rearranged the florals. These are baby's breaths, yellow baby's breaths that I got from Amazon. They are in my Amazon store, which is linked down below. A lot of the supplies that I use today, paints and everything, are in my Amazon store. I'm now going to take this burlap ribbon that burlapfabric.com sent me. Very flexible, very manageable. I love this ribbon. And I'm just going to make 2 simple bows and tie them in the middle using the same wire that I used to secure the florals. And now I'm going to attach both bows to exactly where I secured the florals to with hot glue. And as an added detail, I'm going to hot glue a couple of pine cones from the Dollar Tree. And that'll be it. I did add 1 claw hook to the back of each decor. That way it can be hung on the wall. And we'll be done with this one. And this one is beautiful. It has a very farmhouse look to it. And then again with that beautiful yellow that I'm just in love with this fall.
No, I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too. Beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say.
Alright, so I'm going to take this Dollar Tree mason jar sign. It's mason jar style, I guess. It's beautiful. It's just not my style. So I want to recreate create something very different with it. So I'm going to hand draw here just like the outline of the jar, but basically leaving about 2 inches on each side. And I'm just doing it with a pencil because that's just, it's simple. And then I'm going to trace it with using my knife blade. And this took a little longer, so I'm just going to show you the first few seconds of how it looked and what I did. Basically, I just kept tracing it, cutting through until the knife blade went all the way through and I was able to pull out the middle part.
Oh, would you stay with me now till the morning light? Would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be if I leave tonight?
And then once I had it out, I sanded down the leftover little glitter parts that I see there in the corner, and then I sanded the inside trim. That way it's nice and smooth.
We could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Till the morning light. Till the morning light. Till the morning light.
Now that everything is smooth and ready for paint, I'm going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead.
And while the paint dries, I'm going to use this chicken wire. I got this chicken wire on Amazon, and it's different from what chicken wire you would get at the hardware store. I have worked with that one, and it is a lot more difficult to work with. This is a lot more manageable. It's softer. It's more of a crafting chicken wire than anything else. I took that middle part that I removed and I'm going to use that as a template, and I'm just going to draw with a permanent marker about an inch away from the rim there. That way I know that it'll fit in that middle part and have enough on the outside so that I can secure it to the mason jar sign.
I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything.
Alright guys, so I am going to again mix two different things. This one is more like a terracotta look, and this one has more of a like a hammered, I don't know, kind of rusty look. So I'm gonna try to mix it, splash it here and there to make it a little bit more vintage.
Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question.
I think this orange tone or terracotta tone gave it a beautiful rustic, not rustic, rusty look. It just looks like it's rusted. And then I sprayed a little bit more of the darker tone on top just to mute it down a bit. And I think it turned out so cute. Now in the camera, you really can't tell. It just looks like it's dark. But later in the pictures, you'll see it a little bit closer and you'll see what I'm talking about. It just looks like that chicken wire has rusted through the months and the years. I'm going to take these scrap pieces of painter sticks that I got from a different project. I always keep these little things around for purposes like these. And I'm just going to use them to secure the chicken wire in the back.
'Cause I haven't got a clue. Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do? I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can.
So because the chicken wire had that rusty look, I wanted to add a little bit on the edges of the frame. That way it kind of looks and ties in with the vintage farmhouse look that I'm going for.
But I ain't got nothing left. And I know there's so much more to this life, but it's hard to see it clear.
And I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm just going to take this Dollar Tree lace ribbon and I'm just going to trim, or not trim, place it in between where that trim, the upper trim and the bottom part of the sign kind of meet, and just hot glue it on the back. And then I'm going to add a simple flower to the right lower corner of this sign, and I'm going to leave it like that. I did put back the little jute twine string on top so that it can be hung, but that's it. I'm not going to do anything else. I want to keep it very simple, but I think this just speaks vintage farmhouse and it looks so pretty.
Yeah, I tried my best, but nothing turns out right. God, I need you now so dearly. 'Cause I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left.
This beautiful frame I recently got from a family member who did not need it anymore. It didn't even have a glass or anything. It was just like this. So I want to give it more of a farmhouse look. I'm going to give it 1.5 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint and the linen white. And what I mean by 1.5 is I am going to give it kind of a ombre style look. So the middle rim, so all that middle rim that I'm painting right now, it's all going to have full coverage. And then I'm going to slowly increase the dry brushing as I go out on the frame. That way it just starts kind of like It used to be all white, like the center rim, and then it kind of has this stress through the years, and that's kind of like the look that I am going for with this one. So I gave it one coat, and then a second coat was only on the, again, inside rim part, because I wanted that to have full coverage. Everything else around it was dry brushed to give it that distressed vintage look.
Circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can. I ain't got nothing left.
All right, so now I'm going to take some rope. This is not nautical rope from our Dollar Tree. It's something I got on Amazon. I do have it on my Amazon store, which is linked down below. A lot of the supplies, paintbrushes, florals that I use, I do have in my Amazon store. So check it out in the link down below. So I'm going to use this rope to tie it around this little milk jug that I got several months ago now. Oh gosh, probably almost a year now. And there's like a ton in this box, and I use some here and there for my DIYs. I'm just going to put a floor here, but I will secure it with some hot glue. That way it's nice and secure.
I got this feeling like it's starting now, starting now. I feel adventurous with you. And there is nothing that can hold us back, hold us back. We can do what we wanna do. 'Cause we got all the time in the world. For better or worse, we should stay together. So let's stay young and in love. We should focus on us forever. Yeah, baby.
Dollar Spot from Target pumpkin. Dollar Tree does not have, at least my Dollar Trees do not have the larger ones, the larger pumpkins. So I wanted to try the technique on a larger pumpkin, but you can certainly use one from Dollar Tree if that's what you have. I'm going to give this pumpkin a lot of texture. Normally when I want to add texture, I use the technique of adding caulk or not caulk, spackle, there you go. And I spread it all over. But for this one, I kind of want to try something different. I'm going to try Mod Podge and tissue paper. Tissue paper, as you know, it's so thin that when it gets wet, it kind of almost melts. I feel like it just really gets really gooey. And so that's why I wanted it and not any other paper. I'm just going to cut it up in different pieces. It does not matter. This is all going to be scrunched up, and it's meant to give the pumpkin texture. So I'm just going to cut it or tear it into smaller pieces. And then I'm going to start covering the pumpkin. I removed the stem, but later I will replace it and put it back on before I paint it. So I'm going to start at the bottom, but there really isn't no right or wrong way or where to start. Just start either at the bottom or at the top, and then start putting on Mod Podge. What I did, now this is the first time I ever did it, so really I'm learning as I go. As I start putting Mod Podge, then I start putting on the tissue paper, and all I'm doing is being as sporadic as possible. There's no right or wrong way, just putting it on and scrunching it. And then if there are any pieces that kind of lift up, just lift it up, put a little bit more Mod Podge, stick it on. And then I cover the entire thing with more Mod Podge. So I add Mod Podge before the tissue paper and then Mod Podge on top of the tissue paper.
Would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Before you turn away, I just want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away. Before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over. I swear that I'm sober. Just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light?
once I had the entire pumpkin pretty covered and kind of where I wanted it or liked, but you can put as much tissue as you want. I then start just brushing Mod Podge all over it, just making sure anything that may be lifted up is pushed down, and then also using the brush to kind of give the pumpkin the shape, just pushing down on those ridges. And this is what it looks like. Doesn't it look kind of creepy? The color of the tissue paper almost made it look like skin. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I took it outside and I'm going to spray paint it black using Rust-Oleum flat black spray paint. And I gave it one heavy coat. I do advise that if you are going to redo this, that once you paint it, you let it dry and then you flip it over and paint it, because some paint did not get right underneath the like little ridges of where the tissue paper was. So that was one thing that I didn't do. So I do have to take it back out and spray paint it. But anyways, the spray paint did cover a lot of it. So there you have it. Look how cute that looks. Oh my gosh, I love that texture. So as you can see, I did replace back the stem and I spray painted it. And now I'm going to take this Dollar Tree, oh my god, it's not ribbon. Oh, for the love. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Oh, yarn. There it goes. So I'm going to take this yarn and I'm going to wrap the stem. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with the stem, if I should leave it black, which I think looks pretty cool, very Halloweenish, but I wanted it to have more of a farmhouse look. I wanted to soften it up a little bit. So I'm just going to wrap it in the yarn all around until it's fully covered and secure with hot glue. I still felt like something was missing on the pumpkin, so I decided to add what I thought was going to be it's a yarn bow. So I wrapped it around my 4 fingers, and then after I had it wrapped up enough, I then just folded it and tied it in the middle, kind of like to make a bow. But you know, it's yarn, so it didn't look like a bow. It ended up looking like a flimsy little pom-pom. But, you know, I made it work. I tied it around. I'm still not sure if this is what I want it to look like. So, but anyways, I just thought it just added more texture and a little bit of detail. So I placed it on there. And then we'll be done with this one, guys. And I just tell you, gosh, this texture I have to redo again. It is absolutely stunning. And I just think even if you added more tissue paper, how cool would that be? Or even add like different designs on the tissue paper. It would be really cool. I'm going to take this Dollar Tree sign. It is square, so I am going to reshape it and cut it into two different parts. So first, of course, we got to sand down all the glitter and wipe it off. And then once that's done, I'm going to start cutting them into 2 pieces, smaller ones, so that I can make tags.
I've been staring at the ceiling. I've been staying up all night. Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye.
There's no right or wrong size for this. I'm just looking for, or to make tags that are not so tall. So I'm just kind of eyeing it out and just kind of seeing what I like. So if you're going to recreate something like this, just go with what you want to see. But if you want exact measurements, I'd say I'm cutting about, let's see, about 2 inches, or yeah, about 2 inches off the top, just to create more of a, maybe like a 10-inch high tags. And then I'm just going to find the middle, so then I can have my 2 sides with equal sides.
I've been asking every question, 'cause I haven't got a clue. Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do?
And then I'm going to find the middle on the top. And again, there's no exact measurements. It's just where you want the angles to go. and how long they should go. It really is up to you, but I did it where I had 2 inches on each side, and then about 3 inches down, and then I just marked them. And I want both my tags to be exactly the same size, so I'm going to use one and each other to keep each other in the same measurements.
I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. And I know there's so much more to this life, but it's hard to see it clearly. Yeah, I try my best, but nothing turns out right. God, I need you now so dearly, 'cause I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing.
And of course, don't worry about if the edges are not like straight and smooth, because you can always just sand it down and it sands down pretty good. For the holes on top, I decided to use my drill, and this is like probably my thickest drill bit that I was able to find, which was fine for tags this size, but any tags any bigger, I think a hole a little bigger would be best. But for this size, I think this drill bit worked perfectly fine.
I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I.
Alright, so I'm going to give one of the tags 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and then the other one is going to take two coats of pale sepia in this, and that is the Bear chalk paint.
I ain't got nothing left. Nothing left. Nothing left.
Alright, I used my Cricut to cut these designs. I downloaded these designs from Cricut Design Space, and I am just going to add a pumpkin to the pale sepia one, and then Sweet Farm decal to the white one.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead.
I'm going to use a piece of scrap foam board from the Dollar Tree. You know those foam boards. I just cut a little piece. This is just going to add some dimension and almost like a 3D, so they're not laying right on top of each other. And I'm just going to hot glue it.
It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be.
For the string or the rope, I guess, I was tempted to use jute twine because I use jute twine or rope all the time, but again, I want all these 3 pieces to kind of match each other, and so I wanted to use the yarn. I'm just gonna cut. I am not even measuring, guys, like seriously, I don't even know what size this is, but if I were to guess, it's probably about 20 inches long, and I cut 6 strips. Now I'm going to tie it on one end, and then I'm just going to braid it. So I'm going to separate little bundles of 2, and those will be my strands, and then I'm just going to braid them and then knot them on the bottom, and I'll make 2 of those.
'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel.
Alright, so I left the bottoms a little bit frayed, that way it kind of made it look like tassels. And I'm just going to thread the top knot through the holes and now hot glue them to the back.
I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. I've been staring at the ceiling, I've been staying up all night. Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question, 'cause I haven't got a clue. Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do? I've been running circles.
Right, I am going to use one of those panels, and I am going to use some of these painter sticks. Now these I get on Amazon, and I was super confused in my last few my last video that I did, that I used them. So they turn out, when you use one, it's about 10 cents each. I get them a huge box of 200, and they're $20. And guys, I mean, so easy. If you love crafting, you love creating things, these are so easy to work with. I suggest, if you want to get them on Amazon. I do have it linked in my Amazon store down below in the description box. All right, so I cut these just to about, I would say it's about 10 inches tall. I don't think I measured them, because I just kind of eyed it out, and then I made the cut. I used my miter saw out in the garage to cut them all together. But you can certainly use a miter box if you do not have a miter saw, and I'm going to show you in a little bit what the miter box looks like if you do not know what it looks like. So here I am going to start attaching some of those sticks to these sides, and it's going to take 8 of them, because it's going to be 1 on each, so 2 in each corner, and I'm securing it with wood glue and brad nails.
You say take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see.
All right, so here I am, as you can see, they're just attached right next to each other, kind of creating an L shape on the corners. And I started using brad nails because the panel from Arteza, it's thick enough where the 1/2 inch nails work perfectly, and it does not go all the way through. But when I start attaching other wood sticks to create the crate that I am going to create, I had to switch to staples, because the brad nails would go through them. So here I am measuring. If you're going to recreate this, my advice is measure and cut as you go, because I noticed that at first I thought, oh, it doesn't matter, math is math, I can just measure low and see. No, it's better if you just measure and cut as you go. So you can see there, I'm still making cuts, and as I go, to make sure that everything fits nicely. And here's the miter box I was telling you about. For smaller cuts and cutting small pieces of wood like this is excellent, and I do have it in my Amazon store as well.
Beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too.
All right, so here I am joining the two edge sticks because they were obviously not joined together, and it was just very difficult. I couldn't figure out how to get them together, so a staple worked fine. I just made sure that one end of the staple was it hit the one, as you can see there in the corner, just making sure that it just joined both sticks together. So once I was done doing the upper trim, then I placed another stick in directly in the middle of each side, and that gave it the crate look that I'm looking for.
Just close your eyes and know beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me.
All right, so now the crate is all put together, and I am going to give everything 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and it'll be inside and outside.
Time to get there. I don't care. I'm in for the fight. It's gonna take some time, but I know that beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too. Beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too.
This time I'm going to use stain. This is a Varathane stain in the Sun Bleached. It is gorgeous. If you're looking for a stain that has more of a whitewash look, this is it. This is just absolutely beautiful. It does have a stronger smell, of course, so if you're going to use it, make sure that you are in a well-ventilated area. And I'm just going to give it 1 coat and let it dry. All right, I am now going to take these thumbtacks and I'm just going to attach them 1 in each corner for an added detail.
I got this feeling like it's starting now, starting now. I feel adventurous with you. And there is nothing that can hold us back, hold us back. We can do what we want to do. 'Cause we got all the time in the world, for better or worse. We should stay together. So let's stay young and in love. We should focus on us.
I am now going to take these peonies that I got on Amazon. They are also on my Amazon store, link down below. And I'm going to wrap the stems using the same lace ribbon I used earlier. That's so that it's more of a detail rather than just some green stems, wired stems they're showing. And I think it just looks super cute just to wrap them. And I'm going to secure it with hot glue. And then I'm going to add some greenery that I also got on Amazon. Again, everything will be linked in my Amazon store down below. And add it together on the bottom center of the panel. And it just becomes this beautiful floral piece that you can use on a wall if you add like a hook in the back, or as a decorative feature on top of a table. And I think it just absolutely looks beautiful.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left.
I am going to take this Dollar Tree wooden pumpkin, and this is going to be a very, very simple DIY anyone can make. I'm going to give it some texture using hot glue. So basically, I'm just going to start making pouring random lines of hot glue and then let it dry. In hindsight, I would have done a better job. You know those little webby lines or webby strings that you get from the hot glue? We all know. If I would have thought about this better, I would have made sure I did not get too many of those, because as soon as I spray painted it, which I'm using this gold metallic Rust-Oleum spray paint, you can see all those little webbies, all those little webs from the hot glue. And I did try to remove a lot of them, but they were really stuck on there, or I didn't, it would have removed some of the other hot glue. So I just left it. But if I were to do this again, I'd make sure I'd be a lot more careful with that. All right, so after it was dry, I am going to just hot glue a couple or a few florals. These are a mixture of, let's see, no, I think all the florals are from the Dollar Tree. Not Dollar Tree, oh my gosh, Amazon. I did get these. A lot of my florals, a lot of my supplies are in my Amazon store, which is linked down below in the description box. I'm going to hot glue them in place and then put a buffalo check black and white Dollar Tree bow right in the center, hot glue it, and then we'll be done with this one.
Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right, we'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Before you turn away, I just want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away. Before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over, I swear that I'm sober, just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that.
I'm going to take this branch that it was from our yard, and I'm going to give it a very rough, heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And I contemplated leaving it as is, but I like it. I wanted it to be a little brighter, a little cleaner. That long branch in the center of it. In the beginning, I thought I would leave it on. For some reason, I thought it just looked very organic, and I liked it. But I ended up cutting it off towards the end. But you'll see it for now. I will paint it as well. All right, guys, so now I am going to take several of these. Most of them are Dollar Tree. Only I believe the beige one is not. Yarns. And I'm going to create some feather-like leaves. I don't know if that makes sense. Feather-like leaves. You'll see what I'm talking about. I saw it on Pinterest, and I just thought it would be super cute to recreate. So I'm going to take my time here and kind of show you how I'm doing this. If you know how to do this, you can, just be patient. But I just want to take it a little slow so that if you want to recreate something like this, you know how to do it. So I took a longer piece and I folded it in half, and it's still going to be about 12 inches, maybe 14 inches. And then I'm going to just fold here about 6-inch strips. But in reality, they're going to be about 12 inches. But I'm going to cut them in one side. So that's why they're going to look like it's 6 inches, but they're going to be folded into 6 inches. That's why. So here's a closer look. I'm going to fold one, put it underneath the longer strip, and then loop each end into each other's loops. And we'll do it. I'm going to show you again how it looks so that you can see. Now I'm going to put one facing the other way underneath, and then another loop on top, and then loop each ends into each other's loops. Once I had all the strands tied to the string, you'll see that it's starting to look a little bit more like a leaf, or a feathered leaf, I guess. I'm going to now give it some shape. So I'm going to just take my scissors and start trimming it, almost like I'm cutting hair. And I did end up cutting or trimming even more, making them a lot more narrower. But I just wanted to show you this is kind of like the process that I took. And I repeated this with all, what was it, 5? Yeah, with all 5 colors. All right, now moving on to the branch again. So now I'm going to drill 5 holes on the bottom of the branch. I don't know what size drill bit this is. It's just what I had on there. I just needed it to be thick enough where the yarn can fit into. I'm also going to drill a couple of screws on the ends because I'm going to tie a jute twine rope so that it can be hung from there. All right, now it's time to put everything together. I'm going to just start to put some hot glue inside each hole that I pre-drilled. And now I'm going to just squeeze in the yarn through the little leftover loop or the top loop. That way it's snug in there and it will not come off because the hot glue is going to keep it in there. And I'll do that with all of them. And I'm going to stagger them and just kind of make sure that they're in a colored pattern that looks right to me.
Look out, here she comes, the woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she past someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be.
All right, and we are about done with this one, guys. And look how unique and beautiful this looks.
'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go.
I'm going to take this Dollar Tree foam pumpkin. It's one of those that had the fabric over it. And I'm going to remove everything, the stem and the fabric from it, because we're going to wrap it with some beautiful ribbon, fall ribbon that I have had for many years. And as I was cleaning out some stuff, I saw it. And I was like, oh my gosh, why haven't I used this year? Look how beautiful. It has like a burlap ribbon, and then it has the metallic leaves on it. Very, very beautiful. I'm going to cut 6 strips. I did measure the first one to make sure that it will fit the pumpkin all the way around. And basically, I'm just going to wrap them. I'm going to wrap it around and snug in the excess ribbon just so that it is nice and secure. And then I'm going to do that crisscrossing each and every one of the 6 strips.
When she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before. But she will never know that I love her so well. She's with somebody else, and I will have to let her go. She will never know, nah, never know, nah. She will never know, nah, never know, nah. She'll never know. It's like she stole my heart.
And here's the final one. I did secure the final one with some hot glue because it wasn't like really digging in there. Now I want to have those little flaps there towards the bottom. I want it to be as close and as snug as possible to the pumpkin. So I'm just going to fold them and just kind of make sure that they're nice and, I guess, I don't know, just flat against the pumpkin as possible.
Without knowing she did. But I guess that it will pass. Yeah, I can't be.
All right, now I'm going to take this metallic ceramic golden pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to secure it to the top of the other pumpkin using a combination of E6000 and hot glue.
I've been staying up all night. Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question.
And now I'm going to add some florals. These are some wheat branches that I got at Walmart. I've used them so much throughout this through this fall season. And I'm just going to use some leftover branches that I have. And then I'm going to add a pop of color with a little sunflower from the Dollar Tree. I just thought it needed a little pop. And I just thought it just looked super adorable. And I think this is my favorite from today.
Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do? I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. And I know there's so much more to this life, but it's hard to see it clearly. Yeah, I tried my best, but nothing.
I'm going to take this piece of 1x4, and I have no idea where it came from, but we're going to use them to make some coasters. So I want the squares or the pieces to be exactly square. So I measured the width of the board, even though it says it's a 1x4, it's really more of a, let's see, 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. So I took him to my miter saw and cut 4 pieces. And now I'm going to sand the edges to make sure they're nice and smooth and there are no splinters. Once I was done with the sanding, I dusted them, and now I'm going to stain them using Rust-Oleum Chalked Aged Glaze. This is their brown tone. And yeah, basically I'm just going to stain them like regular stain. The beautiful thing about this glaze is that it is water-based, so it dries quicker, it comes off of your hands easier, and it doesn't have like a strong scent. Now I'm going to take these Dollar Tree little pumpkins, and I am going to fill in the little holes because I don't want to see that on the coasters. And I'm just going to use some spackle to do that. And then I let it dry. I am now going to paint the little pumpkins using Rust-Oleum Milk Paint in their Venetian Yellow, which is beautiful, guys. Beautiful color. And I'm going to give it just one coat.
Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy.
Once the paint was dry, I then took a 220 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to lightly sand them just to smooth them out and also to just kind of tone down the yellow.
Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Before you turn away,
I am now going to use some wood glue to attach him to the top of each coaster. And I'm going to tilt him just a tiny bit, but I'm also going to secure them with brad nails. Now you are able to see the brad nail. I'm okay with that. I could have just used the wood glue, but I want to make sure they're nicely attached. And I don't mind seeing the brad nail. I think it gives it a little bit more character and a little bit more kind of like rustic farmhouse look to it. And then once that was done, it was time to seal everything. Of course, these are going to be coasters, so you want to make sure that they are sealed in case water or any spills gets on them. So I'm going to use Minwax polyacrylic in the clear, and this is the semi-gloss, and I gave it 3 coats. And then we'll be done with this one.
I want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away. Before you make up your mind that I know where to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over. I swear that I'm sober. Just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me?
I'm going to take these 4 scraps of wood, and I'm going to make little kind of home shapes. I am going to draw some angle lines here, but honestly, after I drew the lines, it was basically just making some like 45-degree angle cuts. And so we did that using the miter saw. I cleaned them, dusted them. Now these one I didn't sand right away because I'm going to distress them by sanding them, and so I'd sand them later. I'm going to paint them in different colors. This taller one I am going to paint in that same milk paint by Rust-Oleum in the Venetian Yellow. And then I'm just going to do 2 coats, and I'm just going to do the top of each little house, not the sides, not the back. On this one, I am using the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and again, I gave it 2 coats. For this one, I am using Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the coastal blue. And for this last one, is the smaller one, I am using DIYbeautyonpurpose chalk paint in the kudzu, which is a beautiful green I just recently used to redo a little side table, and it is absolutely beautiful color, especially for fall. Alright, so waited till they were fully dry, and now I'm just going to sand everything down and give it more of a farmhouse distressed look. To finish them off, I'm just going to add some jute rope to a couple of them. On this white one, I'm just going to tie it around in the middle and make a simple knot in the front. And then on the blue one, I am going to wrap it around 3 times and tie it in the back. And that's it for these, and I think they turned out absolutely stunning.
Tonight we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Till the morning.
These are 2x4s, and again, they're scraps that I had in the garage. I'm just going to kind of eye out where I want to make a cut, and I took it to my miter saw and cut them. And these I am going to sand down. They were really splintery. I'm going to sand them down on every side of the boards. Alright, for this, I'm going to use a paint. This is actually a fabric paint that Arteza sent me. And it's a beautiful yellow tone. I want to say it's their golden yellow. I'll have it listed down below for you. And I'm going to paint all the sides, including the top.
I got this feeling like it's starting now, starting now. I feel adventurous with you. And there is nothing that can hold us back, hold us back. We can do what we want to do. 'Cause we got all the time in the world, for better or worse. We should stay together.
Once the paint was dry, I'm now going to also distress them, focusing mainly on the edges.
So let's stay young and in love. We should focus on us forever. Yeah, baby, if you are feeling like I do, we could run away across.
And now I'm going to drill a hole on the top of each one. I'm going to do that using my drill and a drill bit. I'm not sure what the size is. I just basically grabbed one that fits the little kind of like stick that I'm going to be using to secure a stem, because these are going to be tall pumpkins.
Ocean, baby, what you say? We can leave today. Anywhere we'll go, we'll be alright. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you.
After I drilled holes in Dollar Tree stems, I'm now going to fill in the holes in each pumpkin, and I'm going to cut the excess, leaving about 1/2 inch of the stem or the little stick, so that I can fill in the hole with hot glue again on the wood stem, and then just place it in there, and that way it'll be nice and secure.
Doesn't matter if we make mistakes, which I can promise that we do. Just hold my hand and we will be okay. Yeah, it's true. 'Cause we got all.
And to add a little detail, I'm going to take these leftover leaves from, I think it was cotton stems from the Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna hot glue them to the two taller ones. And guys, we'll be done. And these are so timeless. I can't wait to put these in my own home and my decorations because they go perfectly with the yellow that I got, or that I have on my fall decor this year.
Time in the world, for better or worse, we should stay together. So let's stay young and in love. We should focus on us forever. Yeah, baby, if you are feeling like I do, we could run away across the ocean. Baby, what you say? We can leave today. Anywhere we'll go, we'll be alright. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all
I'm going to take these two pieces of scrap 1x4s. I mean, guys, if these aren't scrap, I don't know what is. They were dirty, they had holes, it was just a mess. But I love it. I love when I find pieces of wood that have so much character, history on them. So basically, I'm going to make a box. It's going to be a very simple box. So I'm just going to eye out again, kind of like where the center is, and then cut two pieces for these sides. And then I have them right there. I dusted them and cleaned them. Now I'm going to paint these using a scraper. Now, this is a different technique I have never used. So basically what I do is take some paint on the scraper and then just start kind of like spreading it. And of course not with a lot of paint on the scraper. And this will give it a very weathered look, almost as if it's been outdoors weathering in the elements. And I just love the way this turned out, guys. It's beautiful. I've never tried this technique, and I am definitely going to use it again. And I did that on all the boards, only on the outside part as well as the edges.
don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think you said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it.
All right, now it's time to put everything together. I'm going to use wood glue and brad nails to build the box. And it's a simple box, guys. So basically is adding glue and brad nailing. And as long as everything matches and is even on the edges, we are good to go.
Look out, here she comes. The woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before. But she will never know that I love her so well. She's with somebody else and I will have to let her go. She will never know, na-na. Never know, na-na. She will never know, na-na. Never know, na-na. She'll never know. It's like she stole my heart without knowing she did. But I guess that it will pass. Yeah, I can't be the only one who got lost inside the blue of those eyes. I've gotta let her go.
For the bottom piece, I am going to use a piece of leftover cardboard. This is from a box that I got from a shipment from Amazon. And I could have used wood. I didn't have a piece of wood that was this large. I did have a piece of paneling. But honestly, guys, cardboard is perfect because what I'm going to put in it is pumpkins. So no big deal. I used the bottom of the box to trace the perfect size for the cardboard to be. And then I'm just going to cut it using my blade knife. And then I'm going to attach it to the bottom of the box using my electric stapler.
Give me love, give me all.
And we're just about done with this one. I gotta say, the textures and the color is so bright. I love this box. And you can add anything you want. You can add florals, pumpkins, whatever you want. It's one of my favorites from this one. But let me know down in the comments, which one is your favorite? Which one stands out to you the most? If you want to watch a lot more of DIY crafts for fall, click on this video. There's tons more of inspiration there for you. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye.